I'm Josiah,
And I'm Adam.
and we are Salida Gun Shop. Today, we are interviewing Andrea Wilson. We are excited to kind of go through what brought her out to Colorado and kind of delve into what has become of your journey in this. So, I kind of want to start off with just a little bit of like where you're coming from, what truly brought you, like attracted you to Colorado, because Adam and I kind of went through what brought us out here, and we're just kind of curious. We talked to Dan Noctree about their family. He's a fifth generation in this direction, and why, why Colorado?
Well, I grew up in Memphis and lived there until 2015.
Okay.
And I started bike racing in 2006 and then worked as a bike mechanic. And I traveled a lot when I started bike racing and doing some bigger endurance races.
Okay.
And did a few races in Colorado and just fell in love with the mountains. Like it's like I don't belong in Memphis. I'm not cut out for the South. I need to be in the mountains.
Nice.
And so I found Salida through the Vapor Trail 125 race in 2014.
Nice.
Yeah, that's I just loved it because it's Salida is like small town but has just enough stuff that you can like you're not too far from a Walmart.
Right.
I'm pretty simple. I don't need like big shopping malls and
Nice.
stuff.
So describe to everybody like what is the Vapor 125 and why were you doing something else in Memphis that made you think this needs to be on my bucket list type adventure?
I don't really have a bucket list, but I was just looking for things that were really difficult. Just really hard endurance races, like the ones, just one that a lot of people know, the Leadville Trail 100 mountain bike race. While it is 100 miles and it's very difficult because you're riding a mountain bike 100 miles, relative to other 100-mile races, it's pretty easy, like technically. But Vapor Trail, first off, you start at 10 o'clock at night from downtown Salida. And you head out to the mountains and do a 125-mile loop and finish sometime the next day. And just seeing that, I was like, I don't even know if I could do this. Like, I'd done plenty of 100-mile races and some pretty hard ones, and that one just looked like the hardest thing you could do, so that's what I went for.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you finish in 2014?
I did.
Okay.
I went very slow. It took me about, I think it was about 19 hours.
What's the normal finishing time for people that do the 125?
It's anywhere from, I don't know what the men's record is, but I have the current, well, for for that version, the course has had a few changes to it over time, and for that course, I have the women's record at just over 16 hours.
Nice.
When I came back in 2017 and was, moved to Salida and was able to do it way faster than that was my only goal. I was like, I just want to go faster than I did last time.
Awesome.
How did you cut 3 hours off?
I was acclimated to elevation.
Because you moved out in 2015, did it in 2017.
Right.
Okay.
That was the big thing.
That was huge, huh?
I mean, a little bit more, more miles in your legs too. That helps, and just more experience. But really, it was being acclimated to the elevation because I was super fit when I came to do it in 2014. But I lived at 300 feet above sea level.
Okay.
So it was.
What's the max elevation that you end up hitting at 125?
I know you go over 12.
Okay.
A couple of times. I mean, you ride near the end of the course. You ride the Monarch Crest Trail.
Gotcha.
Which is above tree line for the most part.
So with the Vapor Trail 125, riding a bicycle, mountain biking, was there anything else in Colorado at the same time like brought you out here? Like, oh, I did the 125. What was there anything else in Colorado that kind of made you want to come back other than being in the mountains?
I mean, there's just so much more out here to explore. Like the public land here.
Yeah.
Just looking at a map and seeing all of the green, you know, like when you are on a computer and you click like show public land and it just lights up for Colorado, you know, and just seeing all of that opportunity to just get out and see new stuff and new animals, new places, you know, all that. It was, you know, it was just, and I still, like, I mean, I've lived here since 2015, or I've lived in Colorado since 2015, and you know, I can still leave my house and in 30 minutes be someplace that I've never been before.
Right. Very easily.
Yeah.
The other thing, when I was doing a little bit of research, and I wanted to make sure I was getting the right individual, you rode for Brick House Racing?
Yeah, that was just kind of my own,
okay,
like, independent. There's not a ton of mountain biking in Memphis, and there are no, as far as I know, I mean, it could have changed now, but there are no, like, teams to race for where you could have, you know, a set of sponsors and everything. So I just, you know, just came up with Brick House Racing.
Nice.
Because at some point in time, someone told me I was built like a brick shit house, and it just kind of stuck.
Nice.
I'm not as much anymore, but I was.
The other things that came up in like performances, race wins, is it the Transylvania Epic?
Yep, Transylvania Epic. It was a stage race where you race a course every day.
Okay.
And then they accumulate your elapsed time, and basically whoever has the least amount of time is the winner.
And that's on the same mountain bike, and then what state is that in?
That's in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think I saw one stage 5, one of the top.
Yeah, that was, I think that might have been like, no, that wasn't, sorry, I'm trying to go back, because I don't know what you're going to ask me, so I've got to like remember stuff. Yeah, it was kind of funny. There was a women's pro team there.
Oh, wow.
And I was kind of on their tail every day. And then that stage in particular, the top women went off course.
Oh, wow.
And I crossed the finish line, and I was like, they were like, you won. And I'm like, really? I'm like looking around me like, where's everyone? And they're like, you won. And I'm like, serious?
Wow.
Cool.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I think I finished 5th overall in that. I don't even remember. You might know.
I kind of got the topics to talk about, and then I didn't go, like I said, too deep, because I was like, I'm curious, again, you know, how much you remember, how many races you've done, that type of thing too. But you've done multiple races, probably nationwide then too, or what's the farthest you've traveled for a race?
Transylvania was a long way. I coming to Colorado for not just Vapor Trail, but doing Breck Epic is another stage race.
Okay.
And I actually did that one single speed 3 different times.
You didn't have enough the first 2 times you had to do it.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. The other thing that came up when I was researching you was the Rainbow Trail Hike-a-Bike in Colorado, which is, 285 to Poncha Springs? And where does that start on 285?
So if you leave 285 on the Rainbow Trail and you go up towards, I think it's Poncha Mountain.
Okay.
On a map, it's not quite on the trail, but people just call it Poncha Mountain. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's just you have to push your bike a lot. But then it's fun to turn around and ride back downhill.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that was, did you actually have a record that was held, or was it?
No, so there's like a thing that a lot of athletes use called Strava. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I still have it or if I ever got it. But yeah, like you can compare your times on certain segments versus other people's.
Nice.
What was so you get out here, you're bike racing, you're doing all that stuff, and then how did you end up in here?
Good question. My body basically gave up on me.
Okay.
I started having some sciatic nerve problems in my left leg, and then started having nerve pain in my right arm. And both of those things together, at first I just couldn't really ride as much, not enough to train to really, race as hard as I'd like to race. And then my nerve pain in my arm actually got really, really bad and was misdiagnosed as being caused by a disc in my neck.
Mm-hmm.
And for the last 2 years, I was just chasing that. And I hadn't really been able to ride much. I'm getting back into it now, but eventually went to a doctor who figured out that it was carpal tunnel.
Oh my gosh.
And he was not a young man. He walked in the room and he said, "This is the worst case of carpal tunnel I've seen in someone your age."
Whoa.
So I got a cortisone shot for it. I'm having surgery on the 25th.
Okay.
Nice.
Carpal tunnel release.
So not from typing on a computer.
Yeah, that's why I didn't know it was
Yeah.
carpal tunnel. I had no idea that you could get carpal tunnel from anything other than like
Yeah.
this.
I didn't either.
Exactly.
So in Memphis, you were wrenching on bikes. You come out here doing the same thing then to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I moved to Salida. At first, in 2015, I moved to the Denver area.
Okay.
And it was just way too crowded. Just way too much city for me. And since I kind of knew about Salida already, I talked to the man who was the race director for Vapor Trail, Tom Purvis, who's kind of a local legend himself. I just said, do you know of any jobs in Salida? Because I'm ready to get out of Denver. And he's like, yeah, we need a bike mechanic at Absolute Bikes. It's like, cool. Went out, interviewed.
Nice.
And, was ready to go as soon as I could.
So then you moved here 2016, right?
2017, May of 2017.
2017.
Yeah.
And then riding. And then when do you kind of stop riding?
It was in 2020. I trained for the Tour Divide race.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the body problems were just getting worse and worse and worse. And I took a little time off and tried to come back. And it's like, I just need a break. And, and during that time that I was like, I need a break. I need a longer break. I need a longer break. I was like, well, I guess I'm going to start hunting. I used to hunt as a kid, and I'm going to start hunting. And that's how I ended up here, because all I had was my dad's old hunting rifle, and I wanted more, something a little better.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
Actually, the first time I came in was when I had been mountain lion hunting, and the first year that I don't have hounds, and I'm absolutely not against hound hunting at all. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. I don't have the space, the time, anything for hounds. So I just go out after it snows, and being someone who's pretty fit, I'm like, well, hounds can run down a mountain lion. Why can't I? And I haven't been able to get one in a tree, but I have run one to the point of where it starts circling and trying to avoid me. Mm-hmm. I've done that 2 different times in the 3 seasons that I've mountain lion hunted. Yeah. But the first season I was using a shotgun with slugs in it, because that was like the only thing I had. I wanted something because I was, face to face basically. If it all of a sudden was like, oh yeah, I'm a mountain lion, I can kill this thing, and decided to do that, I wanted to be able to run something semi-automatic. Yeah. And so the shotgun did not work well because it was so long, and the whole forest gets inside the gun as you're bushwhacking.
Constantly dumping it out.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, my husband took my gun apart, and there were pine needles inside the stock. He's like, how did you do this? I'm like, you don't want to know, just trees.
Nice.
Just running through trees. But so I came in here, and I think I talked to Matt, and I was like, look, I'm mountain lion hunting. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing it. And I want something semi-automatic that's strong enough to kill a mountain lion. And he's like, oh, you want an AR-15? And I'm like, do I? I knew nothing about an AR-15, but yeah, it's perfect.
Nice.
Absolutely perfect for what I do. It's light. You can use it as a hammer if you want to. It's it's perfect for someone like me.
So in one of our rucks, we were kind of walking, and you mentioned that you could break a crowbar.
My dad always told me I could mess up a crowbar.
So using the AR as a hammer,
that
did that happen?
I have never used it as anything that it wasn't built for.
Good.
It's what's interesting. I watched your YouTube video on you chasing a lion, and the first thing I thought of was like, "Dang, she's in shape," because there was a lapse amount of time there where you covered some ground, and it was like, it was apparent you were like not out of breath, nothing. You're like, I'm just on this track, and I was like, whoa, okay,
Yeah.
I could definitely, you definitely were a hound dog, like 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't outside of the realm of possibility. Like, it's a low odds type of hunting, but if it was 0 odds, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
You know, it's very low odds, but I understand that. I understand that limitation, but it keeps me in shape in the wintertime, and it's just something fun, and it, you know, fuels the adrenaline junkie in me.
How many miles would you put on in, like, let's say a few hours if you're tracking?
Like tracking one, or just
Yeah.
looking for a track?
Tracking.
Oh, anywhere from 5 to 10, pretty easily.
Elevation gain and loss?
I have no idea.
A lot.
A lot.
In
Yeah.
a period.
Well, because also the snow down lower melts off so quickly.
Yeah.
And that's been my problem most of the time. Like, that's when it slows down, and I start to like lose the track a little bit. You know, if I have really good snow, then, you know, I'll just keep going as long as I have to.
Yeah.
Which is what happened like the last time, the last track that I was on that I got really, really close. I followed this really fresh track up to a ridge line. It was out in Howard, and I lost the track actually in deer tracks and previous mountain lion tracks. So this lion had been up there hunting deer, because, I mean, it was just like, it looked like someone, like a cattle drive of deer. I mean,
wow.
it was just solid deer tracks in the snow, and it was a little late in the day, and being wintertime, you know, it's dark at like 5, and I was like, you know, I can't re-find the track. I'm going to go back to the truck. And I'm on this ridge, and I pull my phone out, and I'm looking at the map. I'm like, okay, I can go down here, and it'll take me back down to where I started, and put my phone back in my pocket. And as I'm doing that, I hear this noise, and I see the ass end of a lion jump out of some bushes and run away. Close. Really
Whoa.
close. Like, in a space that would fit inside this room. Like, it's...
Wow.
So
It
you're
was
right,
that
you were
that
right
close.
There. You were
And
right
that's
there.
I started doing it. Part of the reason why I wanted to start lion hunting like that, also, just besides just to keep wintertime interesting, because it was because I was so scared of them. When I moved out here, I was like terrified of them. And it's like, well, the best way to learn about an animal is to hunt it.
Yeah.
You know, because you have to know their behavior, you have to know where they live, how they hunt, all that. And so what I've realized is they can be real close, and I've probably been that close to a lot of mountain lions and not known it, you know, and
Oh, absolutely.
they can be that close to you, and they will run away. And it's like, I'm still kind of like, I'm still nervous about them.
Yeah.
Because I was hunted by one during turkey season a couple of years ago that thought I was a turkey. But as soon as I stood up in a field and yelled and waved my arms around, you know, it went away. It left. You know, it's like, man, if they ever figured it out, we'd be in trouble.
You must come across a lot of interesting places doing stuff like that.
I do.
I mean, stuff that's where maybe nobody's been before, you know, or
Or in a very long time.
yeah, in a long time.
Yeah.
That is the cool thing about hunting, though. Honestly, it takes you to places that, at least for me, I would say, it takes you to places where you can kind of look back and go, man, when's the last time someone's actually been here?
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, when you do come across a boot track or something like that, you're like, dang it.
Yeah.
I haven't come across a boot track in a long time.
Yeah, that is the most interesting way of hunting. I've heard of people like tracking them and slowly tracking them, maybe following a track, but not so much get on a track,
Cut a track
and
go.
move like a hound dog. That's
Yeah, well, and I kind of, because when they're just like chilling out, walking through the woods, they're not going that fast.
Mm-hmm.
So if I find a track that's like, okay, this is from today, I'll just follow it, and I'm not like moseying, like poking along, but I'm like walking with a purpose. And as it gets fresher, you just go like a little faster and a little faster, and then at some point, like in my experience, and I didn't know this until someone told me, like the first time I was close enough to one, like this track, I was like following it, and then like I see a track crossing it. I'm like, okay, but I stay on the track that I'm on, and it circled, and then it did it a couple more times, and I was like, that's weird. And then again, it was like late in the day, and this track had gone off of a ridge that would have taken me like 5 miles from my truck if I'd gone down it. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to go back to the truck. And I had put that on YouTube, and someone commented, they were like, that's what they do when they're running from you. And I'm like, oh.
So you were that close.
I was that close. Wow. I didn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next time that happened was the one I was saying that it jumped out of the bushes, and it immediately was circling, and which is crazy because like you're at like your physical limit, and you're trying to look around. You're trying to not only move fast, but you're trying to like look around and be like, is it watching me?
Yeah. So in your experience with hunting mountain lion, you've been doing it 3 years or 3 seasons?
3 seasons.
Okay.
I don't count last winter because there was just not much snow. I hunted like once.
Okay. So how many tracks do you think you cut overall then in those times you were out?
More often than not, I'll find a track. Whether or not it's brand new, fresh enough for me to actually put the energy into following it. Yeah. But a lot of times I will, even if it's an old track, I'll follow it because sometimes there's a new track that crosses it somewhere. Yeah. You're in their zone, and sometimes you follow an old track and then there's like a different mountain lion that has crossed its track. Right. Like there are a lot of them.
Was there anything that you were surprised as far as how close they possibly were to civilization, or was a lot of this like way back?
I've found them really close.
Really?
Yeah, like in the neighborhood where I live in Howard, there's kind of like a place where BLM land kind of drops down into the neighborhood and kind of splits it. Mm-hmm. And there are tracks there. Like people see on like their house, like they have game cameras and trail cameras they'll have outside their house. Like people see them all the time. They're extremely common, and they're close to us. As we move into their territory, like, they're right there. They're just, you put a new neighborhood in, they just move to the woods, like right outside the neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay. With the ballot initiative 127 to remove mountain lions, bobcats from the ability to hunt, do you think that would have been just obviously we won that ballot initiative utilizing, use the people that understand, wildlife biology, using that as a way to stop the hunting of mountain lions? Do you think that would have hurt the mountain lion population or made it explode with us not being able to hunt them appropriately?
Because I'm not a biologist, I've just followed a lot of mountain lions around in the woods. I think that, I don't know what it would have done to the population. I don't think it would have been good for any of us, for lions or for humans, because like I said, until we stop growing into their area, right. They're territorial. I know that much. They're just going to bump into each other more, and there's just going to be more of them.
Right. And
that's why we need hound hunting too, because as you've seen, like even someone who's extremely fit and can actually run after a mountain lion, there's a very good chance that I will die, never have never have actually successfully hunted a mountain lion, because it's such a low odds thing.
Right. Not
so,
zero.
It's
low.
not zero. It's just low. And I mean, the Venn diagram of people that have that type of fitness and people that want to hunt mountain lions, there's not much overlap there. You know, so if you banned mountain lion hunting, I can't see it being good for mountain lions. I can't see it being good for people, especially the ones that live right on the borders of mountain lion country, which is pretty much everywhere in the mountains in Colorado.
Good point.
I think currently, I mean, if we look at it, we could almost associate it being very similar to, if it was to have passed, kind of how you're describing it, and I was just thinking about it, what we currently have going on with bears, right?
Yep.
So you have the banning of bear hunting with hounds, and then, you know, your urban-rural interface is just expanding, right? Like, I mean, this place is, like, even since you moved here, right, it's blowing up.
Yeah.
And there's just houses going into every nook and cranny that's, you know, right on the, essentially their living corridors, right? So, like, I kind of look at it very similar to that, where it's like, right now we're dealing with, I'm not going to say a huge bear issue.
We have a bear issue in Howard.
Right.
During the Sportsman's Caucus today, Jeff Davis did bring up the numbers are very, very high with encounters, and not good encounters at this point.
Well, and also one thing that I don't hear brought up much is, and this is a problem we have in Howard. Well, first off, there was some crazy guy in my neighborhood that was actively feeding bears, and then he died.
Oh.
And so the bears are wandering around like, hey, where's my dog food? You know?
Oh, no.
Yeah. They've broken into people's houses, cars, everything. But in that interface of, you know, where neighborhoods are moving into the mountains, you have rental properties, people who know absolutely nothing about keeping their trash safe, keeping their cars locked, things like keeping the door locked at night.
Mm-hmm.
Those people don't know anything about it, you know.
I think there was an initiative to, I think it might have even been during Visitors Bureau meeting that we had, that they need to promote those that are renting their houses out short term or even long term. Like, you need to have this notification at your door. You know, they have to sign a waiver to understand like this, because the interaction that has exploded when it comes to bears, just because of the inability to hunt them appropriately and the method of take being reduced. So.
And we even, so there's just like at the corner of our property versus, you know, this other one that's diagonally across from us. It's a rental house, a short-term rental. And we'll go over there sometimes and be like, hey, don't have a fire, and keep your car doors locked, and do not put garbage out on the porch, because there are bears here. And they're like, there are bears? Oh no, and they're scared, and it's like, no, you don't have to be scared, just don't feed them.
Right.
You know, don't
inadvertently or on purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah, the educational component is definitely lacking in those certain situations, right? And then the only thing that suffers is the wildlife, right? At the end of truly at the end of the day, the wildlife suffers.
Becomes a nuisance bear. CKW
Yeah, well,
gets called.
we have one that's in my immediate area of the neighborhood right now that is likely to get euthanized.
Damn.
He's been yesterday went in my neighbor's barn, and even the door was double latched and he couldn't get in, but there's a cat door, and he stuck his head through the cat door and broke into a bag of horse feed.
Oh man.
So, and it's the same one we kind of saw around last year, I think, because it's slightly bigger and the same color. It's kind of a teenage looking bear, and yeah, he's just been around people's houses and doing, you know, he's looking for food, and he's not too scared of humans. And
It's what he's learned, right?
Occasionally I'll go out in the morning, and like one of the electric fence poles of the chicken yard would be leaning just a little bit. Just a little bit, just making sure the fence is on.
Yeah. And that's a big number that like isn't talked about very much, is the amount of bears that are euthanized by CPW
Right.
pretty regularly, and it's not. And when I say it's not a talked about number, I believe it is a published number. But if
You got to do some Googling.
if
It's
you,
not on the front page of the CPW website.
right, and I think from an educational standpoint, if they put that number out there, like if let's just say how often the wolves are currently in the paper right now. If they put that number out there locally or whatnot of how many bears are being euthanized by CPW on a pretty, I would say, regular basis, which, you know, I don't like it. Kind of stinks, especially when there's an educational piece.
It's wasteful too, because they're euthanized with drugs, and you can't eat them.
Yeah.
It's not like they euthanize them and then feed them to the community.
Right.
You know, they're just trash, basically, at that point.
It's unfortunate, honestly. Neither here nor there, I guess. What other animals are you chasing down also?
Elk.
Elk.
I do like the elk hunt. I started archery hunting after I was able, actually the first year I rifle hunted for elk, I got an elk, which I don't know if that was good or bad, because it just like, it's like, oh man, it was like last day, like, you know, not quite end of the day, but the last day of the season. And I was kind of like, okay, I guess I'm going to start packing up and heading home, and just came around the corner and there's a herd of cow elk right there. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I had a couple of unsuccessful seasons. I'm like, all right, I want to archery hunt so I can actually hear them, which doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
But
And I'm assuming you're not hunting the easy spaces either.
no, I mean, I actually figured out last year a few spots that are kind of easy, because last year I got a high country deer tag for a unit over by Independence Pass.
Okay.
And so that first week of elk season before that, I was like, okay, I'm only going to hunt, you know, within like a mile or two of the trailhead, because I don't want to have like a multi-day pack out and then be absolutely exhausted when I have to pack a camp 5 miles in for this deer hunt.
Yeah.
And then hopefully pack a deer out, you know, and a camp. So yeah, like I actually found some easy areas, but yeah, usually I'm way far away from people.
So just following your Instagram and just seeing the photos and the access that you are giving yourself to untouched, absolutely beautiful spaces. It's not easy to get to. Not every human is going to go that direction or ever see that type of view that you're experiencing.
Yeah, and I have learned how to find game trails, which has been a big help.
Nice.
Once you learn, like, you could look at a topographical map and say there's going to be a game trail that connects this spot to this spot, and 99% of the time it's there. Like, I walk up and I'm like, there it is. It's right there. And then they'll show you how to, because in this unit where I hunt, like, there's been a huge, I guess a lot of a windstorm or something. Like, I don't remember what year people have told me it was, but there's tons of blowdown.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, and not just like I've got to step over a lot of trees, like climbing and crawling for a mile kind of blow down.
The fun stuff.
Yeah.
But if you are on a game trail and all of a sudden it's like, does that, you should follow it. They know better than you do.
Yeah.
And not that elk are not agile and don't get into some really nasty stuff like that, but they're big animals and they're also trying to survive. So they are trying to save calories. If they can go, you know, a half mile off of where they wanted to go to get around something that is difficult for them to get through, they can do it.
Nice.
And you should follow that.
Those game trails that are like railroad tracks are my favorite. When you're like walking and you're like, oh, there's gonna be something here, and you walk up and you just see that ground that's just tore up, and you're just like, oh yeah, there's somewhere not too far away from here.
Exactly. You can smell it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just hit that game trail and you're like, oh, this is actually kind of easy walking.
So here's something you can do. Next time you find one of those game trails, start looking for stumps. because a lot of times you'll figure out it used to be an old human trail.
Really?
You'll find stumps. I found one that was, I told you about it before, like it had Native American trail trees on it. But usually it's stumps, and they'll be about knee high, and they're old enough that they're all like gray and crackly and have some moss growing on them. But if it's got those kind of along the game trail, they're just using an old human trail. It's just the path of least resistance.
Logging trail and
Yeah.
oh, cool, nice.
That actually is really interesting. Path of least resistance is an interesting concept, especially when up here, right? Like, because you have like saddles and stuff like that, where you're like, you can go into these areas and it's vast, but then at the same time you can look at it and you can go, if I go right there, that's going to be the easier route. So everything's going to kind of funnel there.
Right. Exactly.
Sort of.
That's how I kind of figured that out, was just, I looked at a map and was like, okay, the easiest route to here is this way, or this is a little less steep than that, and what do you know, there's a game trail there. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, awesome. So, based off of your need for epic adventure and adrenaline, you've kind of gone away from the typical racing hard in probably a more male-dominated area, going into hunting. Again, we're seeing growth in the women participation, but still mostly male-dominated. What have you seen pros and cons in the previous, say, career with the racing? Were you welcome there? Was it good, better, best when you transitioned into getting into the backcountry on the hunting side?
I'd say, bike racing, when I first started bike racing in like 2006, it was, and it still is, male dominated, but not to the same degree.
Yeah.
You had a lot of, like, you walk in a bike shop and there's like, wet, oiled up women in a bikini, like posing with a bike in high heels, You don't really have that anymore.
Right.
But that's like one of the things, like, as a woman going into a men's right. sport, that was for audio only, that was like air quotes.
Yes.
I think I just kind of ignored that stuff, and if given the chance to challenge it or talk about it with someone, I definitely do it.
Yeah.
And being a mechanic also, a bike mechanic, I think everyone should have a female bike mechanic. And it's because it's such a male-dominated field that any women that are in it, you feel pressure to be the best at it, because if you screw something up, it's because women shouldn't be bike mechanics. If a dude screws up something being a bike mechanic, it's because he was hungover, or he had a bad day, or maybe he's just not that great. That guy's not that great of a bike mechanic. You feel like when you're a woman doing that it's because, if you screw something up, it's because women suck being bike mechanics. Right. So everyone should have a female bike mechanic, because they're going to do the best job possible.
Whoa.
That's a good point.
I mean, there are plenty of male bike mechanics that do the best job possible. I'm not digging on guys. I'm just saying that's the pressure you feel as being female. But, I would say, like, the hunting industry, that kind of area, it's like probably 10 years behind the bike industry, and putting pictures of women actually hunting in magazines, or like in bike stuff, like you could flip through in 2006 a bike magazine, and there's not a single picture of a woman in there. So it looks like a sport that women shouldn't try. It's kind of the same way with hunting. Like, there are a few companies that are starting to do like women's hunting clothes, but not a lot.
No.
And what it took in the bike industry was companies that were willing to let that be a loss. It's like, we sell, this much, we make all of our profit on men's clothing, equipment, whatever. We're going to do everything that we do for men, we're going to do it for women also. And if we take somewhat of a loss, that's what it is. Like, but then more women started riding bikes. Who would have thought more women got into riding bikes when companies started making all of their high-end stuff? And a women's fit. They started sponsoring women so that, women getting up into it like had someone to look up to. And there's some great female hunters that are sponsored by big companies, and I don't know how you would say it, like hunt for. You would say in bike racing, you say they race for this company, this team or whatever. But yeah, and there are a few, but there's not that many.
No. And we were talking, when on the last ruck that we got to do together about like just even the fitment of how comfortable pants are. We kind of take that for granted. Being men, like we can slap on anything. And you brought up, the best thing to hike out in was.
Oh yeah. If you're packing something out, the best thing is a pair of tights. It's just your pack can move on it. It doesn't have like a waistband in there. And like, guys, if you're packing an elk out, no one's gonna
I'm
question.
Gonna have to do it.
No one's gonna question the fact that you're wearing tights. Like, it shouldn't matter, right?
Right.
Like,
Successful hunt.
Like, this is something that I've asked, and this is probably why I don't care if I get into anything that's male dominated. Who's telling you what you should look like? Who's telling you what activities you should do?
Yeah.
Who's setting that standard? Yeah. Like, I'm always questioning that. Like, who's giving you this information that women should do this and men should do this?
An interesting thing that somebody said was haters always hate from the bottom. And I think that applies in that realm. My wife hunts. She, I think it's a good pastime for both of us to hang out and do that stuff. We're not maybe as aggressive as you can get. I believe, has your husband referred to you as the honey badger the other day?
Yes. Yes.
I was like, that is a great nickname. And I was like, man. And then I saw your video and I was like, oh yeah. But this, what's interesting is I really, when you said, you related the female bike mechanic piece, I was like, the amount of pressure to be successful.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Do you feel that way in hunting wise?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, I'll admit I'm not the best hunter out there, but it has nothing to do with me being female.
Yeah.
I can tell you that it's usually because I'm not patient enough or whatever. But and I don't get that people would think that, once they at least got to know me, but I don't see many other hunters except at trailheads.
Yeah. And you're gone. Yeah.
And I'm gone.
Yeah.
That's Colorado in general. If you get a mile off the road, you barely see anybody.
Yeah.
The only people I would say that you honestly see, or at least a lot of what I've seen, is hikers or mountain bikers.
I mean, if you're on a trail in Colorado, you're going to see other people. And the number of people, this is a little bit of a tangent. I'm a member of a couple of hunting Facebook groups. The number of people that complain.
Oh, gosh.
About, I went up this trail, and they'll say about Rainbow Trail, too, which is a moto trail.
Yeah.
It was, it's maintained by the local motorcycle group, and they're awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And people that will be like, I was hunting and I, saw some elk, and then this motorcycle came by and they ran away. It's like, oh, are you really mad at the person on the motorcycle riding on the motorcycle trail?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a lot of discussions about that, right? About I always find that kind of interesting at the end of the year when CPW sends the hunter survey, and they say how many people did you see? Oh gosh, what do they reference? They say, how many people did you see, or how?
Do you feel like it was crowded?
Yeah, do you feel like it was crowded? And I honestly look at that every time and go, who actually is out there man, there's 75 people out here? Because I can honestly say most of the places I've ever gone, sure, you run into one or two people maybe.
Yeah.
And then all the other places,
I mean, as long as you get away from a trail, especially like if you find whatever map apps that are the most popular for hunters, like Onyx.
Mm-hmm.
I use that one. But then you go and look at like just a topographical map and it will show you more trails than what's on Onyx.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't say that in public because now people are going to know.
But you got to be able to read the topographical and then correlate it to, an
Yeah,
overlay.
yeah. And like so my deer hunt last year, I camped out on this ridge line that was between two big alpine basins. That way I could glass either direction and see deer above tree line.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
The basin that had the trail in it, opening morning, I counted like 6 people in orange around it. It was a big basin, but there were at least six other hunters. I might have missed one.
Mm-hmm.
The other basin that actually had an old trail, if you looked at an old map, it's not on newer maps, but if you looked at an old map, it had a trail into it. And there were 0 other, and that's where I killed my deer. Was in that basin because what do you think? Like
Nobody there.
there's a bunch of hunters over there,
Mm-hmm.
so right over the ridge and into the next one.
I'm always curious. Does being a mountain biker, does Onyx? Is there a mountain bike Onyx?
They have Onyx backcountry,
Okay.
which is, I think the only difference that I've noticed looking at it is, I think it doesn't give you the option to like look at the landowner names or something like that.
Okay.
It's the same maps.
Okay. So essentially,
It doesn't give you any more information. That would be good for you
Anything.
to use as a hunter. Yeah.
I'm honestly I am amazed by you. So, one of the guys I used to work with raced the Vapor, right? And I mean, that guy was a beast. And he came back from that. And he's like, it wrecked me. Right? Like he was like, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do it again. And he did it again. And this is a guy, we worked in Buena Vista, and he would ride from Salida at 4:00 in the morning on his, it's like a mountain bike with road tires, but kind of thing. He would ride from Salida to Buena Vista and see how fast he could do it in. And I'm like, man, I'm lucky to wake up enough time to drive here. And he's out there just cranking out a smooth 22 miles like it's nothing. And I was like, holy cow. So like that whole Vapor, I mean, that is a huge, huge accomplishment, especially riding overnight.
Yeah.
Like that is, I mean, like, okay, here's something I could ask, or that I'm thinking about, because this translates in many things, because you say, how you say like the hunting industry is 10 years behind the bike industry, right? So like headlamps, right?
Yeah.
Headlamps in the hunting industry are, they're okay. And then you look at like backpacking headlamps, or what about mountain biking? Is there a headlamp out there that you're like, this is the one?
See, like for hunters, unless, I don't know, if you're hunting coyotes, maybe you can hunt those at night.
Yeah.
Use a headlamp. Like it's not really relevant to the hunting industry, so they don't really have a reason to put dollars into making a better headlamp.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing I think about is like hiking out, right? Like you kill something, in the wintertime, and usually you end up hiking out in the dark.
Or you get lost.
And that too.
Take a wrong turn.
That happens. But like, does that could you say there's something in the mountain bike industry that would be like, oh, this is a great product that nobody uses in the hunting realm?
The light, I mean, just specifically like lights, the really good ones you would use for mountain biking, you wouldn't use at a walking pace because they get hot. They have like cooling fins on them.
Oh, really?
But yeah, they'll
okay.
They'll get warm, and they're also like, you don't need that much light for. And the one archery elk that I've harvested, my husband actually came up. He found me where I was, like based on like my in reach point.
Okay.
And which is amazing because he's good at moving around in the woods, but he doesn't do it like I do, which most people don't. Like, it's no fault of his. Like,
kind of setting the bar pretty high.
Yeah, like I don't expect many people to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a knock on him at all, but he came up and found me, helped me hang most of the meat up, because I like couldn't physically lift it off the ground. I had the whole elk like quartered up by the time he got there. Yeah. You know, we took a few pictures, hung the meat up, and we started to hike out. And you know, there's no trail for miles, and it's thick. And the problem at night, no matter how bright your light is, when you're hiking through stuff like that, you don't really have that depth perception. And so like you look at, you know, this stand of aspen trees that looks impenetrable, but you don't know if on the other side if it's open or if there's just more blowdown or whatever, and it doesn't matter how bright your light is.
Yeah. Huh.
But I think e-bikes are one thing that hunters screw up a lot. For one, they don't pay attention to where e-bikes are legal or not. They just, if it's a mountain bike trail, you can ride an e-bike on it. Well, not everywhere.
Yeah.
But also, like, the e-bikes that are marketed to hunters are terrible. They're like a Walmart bike with a golf cart motor on it. It's awful.
Okay.
Like, they're so bad. Like, we won't work on the electrical parts of them at the bike shop.
Okay.
Because you can start fires and things. Like, we don't do it. And it's because hunters view bikes as like a toy. Basically, you know, they don't want to go and spend $3,000 or $4,000 would get you like a decent, you know, maybe used, but you know, like a nice e-bike that you can take to a bike shop and have people work on it and diagnose any problems, whatever. But the ones that are marketed towards hunters are awful.
Yeah.
See, and now that's like something I think about is like the e-bike theory, right? Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a huge equine fan. You have like one bad episode and you're like, I'll just walk, and that's me.
I used to ride horses a lot.
Yeah.
And I would never take horses on trails that have other users because they're scared of it could just be a hiker with like a weird looking backpack on, and your horse might just teleport out from it. And I know it's not all horses are like that. I used to ride some dumb horses, but, or maybe smart. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I wouldn't do it, you know. But I like the e-bike. I have one, and I use it mostly to just ride, you know, like Rainbow Trail, which is moto legal. Which in our area, a trail needs to be motorized. You know, motorcycle legal for you to ride an e-bike. Okay. So I'll ride, you know, a mile or two of Rainbow Trail on that to get to where I want to go off the trail.
And that's what I always thought about the e-bike thing, right? Is to be able to cut a mile or two from wherever to get to a spot, to hit a ridge, to then kind of be in your zone. And I always thought about that, but those plans never came true.
It's really useful, and also like even like 4x4 roads that are relatively easy to drive, like, but they're just slow. Riding an e-bike up those is just way faster, and then going down those versus driving, you will save an hour.
Yeah.
You know, over like a 5-mile road by just riding an e-bike instead of.
I actually noticed that last year. Using a UTV versus a vehicle, same road, same everything, and it's a road. Yeah. Right. It's not, and it's legal to drive UTVs on this road, but between the UTV or just the truck, it was like 30 minutes versus an hour.
Yeah.
So I could see how that can totally correlate.
Right.
The cool thing I thought with the e-bikes, what do you think of the trailers? Like
it depends on where you are, so it kind of depends on how you use them too. Yeah. You know, like riding an e-bike on Rainbow Trail is hard. You have to be good at mountain biking, and you can just ride more stuff because you have a motor.
Right.
But Rainbow Trail, like, you couldn't pull a trailer on that. Now, if you're talking about using a 4x4 road or something, like that, and you can just go faster on your e-bike than you can your truck. Like you could use a trailer there, but if it's really situational, because a lot of trails, especially the alpine trails, get really cupped. It's difficult to ride in general because like you catch a pedal on the edge, or it's hard.
I mean, these are big things that I don't think I'm not in current life. I am not a mountain bike rider. I used to be back in the day, but not to anywhere near your level or anything like that. But I grew up near Santa Cruz, riding mountain bikes and doing that stuff. I think about it now, and I always try to like correlate that type of stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, it should be easy. And then like I'm the guy that would end up on the side of the freaking mountain, broken leg, just like, yeah, I caught a pedal.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you think so you say the e-bikes that are marketed to hunters, the e-bikes that you're talking about, can they take a lot of abuse?
Yes.
Like, do they have like hard gears, or are they like?
Well, what it is the parts in general that are like, the motor is a higher quality for one.
Okay.
But as far as abuse, like the bike parts you buy in a bike shop, even the lowest end parts that you can buy are just, they're made to actually take on a trail and occasionally have a rock hit them or whatever. The e-bikes marketed towards hunters have literally the things that you find in Walmart. And if you think about like, you wouldn't buy a gun from Walmart.
No.
Or a bow.
Yeah, no.
Why would you buy an e-bike from Walmart? Like that's...
I think a lot of where the e-bike industry started off was like in the flatlands on the East Coast, maybe not, where there's mountains, but in conversations that we've had with manufacturers, they're like, oh yeah, if you're driving from one field to the next for a turkey hunt, and they're like, what do you mean field? Like we're talking like, how many miles can I get on this battery in the mountains, up and down, pedaling, and I think that's where it's behind, right? So there is a market out there for a mountain ready e-bike for the hunting industry.
And if you
is different.
If you're only riding on a dirt road between turkey fields, the hunting e-bikes are absolutely fine. Yeah. But think about it. I'm trashing Walmart a little bit. I'm not sorry about it. Just think about it like you just wouldn't take Walmart stuff into the woods if you're really serious about it. And that's really the quality that you're getting. Yeah, if you're going to ride it 1 week a year on dirt roads, you're fine. Yeah. But if you're really going to like
get after it and put some miles on it, maybe you want to like use it to commute to work also, or go to the grocery store. Like you live in a small town like Salida that's super bike friendly. There are e-bikes everywhere now in Salida, and it's great. So you say that e-bikes are only allowed on motorized trails?
Here they are,
Was there
locally
a particular power that requires that, or is it any e-bike? Because I swear there was.
Class 1 and 3.
Okay.
And I don't remember the exact.
It's like 500 watts or 1,750 or something.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact numbers on it, but the ones that you can't ride are class 2, which are basically a throttle. Like it has pedals on it, but you can do everything with a throttle.
Okay.
It's basically a motorcycle with pedals.
Okay. So you can mostly ride those on any motorized thing, which kind of makes you think, why not just get
a motorcycle
at that point? I mean, like a trail 125 type thing. I'm thinking more like not getting there faster, but more just a tool efficiency type thing.
Well, the e-bike's just efficient for me because I've just ridden bikes a lot.
Yeah.
And I've had a motorcycle before. And I never rode enough to get good at it. And it's not that I couldn't have, I just liked riding a bike better. And it just was a little less. I don't have to ride a bike with someone. I'm never going to drop a bike and not be able to pick it up because it's like on the hill weird and it weighs twice what I do.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, have a pulley system just to get it back up on the trail.
Exactly.
Interesting.
What would be a piece of gear that you would never leave the house without, whether exploring or hunting? You mentioned like the inReach.
Yeah, I always have the inReach.
That's just something that I feel like a lot of hunters don't, in our area, don't take advantage of the ability to utilize that. Is there something out there that there's a constant thing that you're not, you have it on your bike, you have it on your e-bike, you have it in the backcountry period, that you're like this is a staple of part of my gear?
I mean, the inReach is pretty obvious. Like, I always feel like there's a line between crazy and stupid. I think some of the stuff I do is very crazy, but I try not to be stupid.
Yeah.
It's like the time I found 2 mountain lion tracks, and they were obviously hunting together. And I followed a little bit, and I'm like, this is stupid. Like, that just crossed, that crossed the line between crazy and stupid, right? I feel like not having an inReach, like, that crosses the line too.
Really?
Or some kind of, if
Device.
you're just hurt,
Yeah.
you know, or if you're going to be 2 hours late back to you, everything's fine. You're going to be 2 hours late.
Right.
But whoever you told ahead of time, like, I'm going to be home now they're calling search and rescue because you haven't checked in and it's 2 hours later than you said you're going to be home. Like, that's should be obvious, I feel like.
Is there anything medical related that you're like, okay, I don't leave home without, Band-Aids or sutures or, super glue or something like that, that you're like...
I have like a small first aid kit that's got, like stuff in it to stop bleeding. I also carry like some Benadryl in case you step on I'm not allergic to stinging things, but if I want to take a Benadryl if I get stung by 2 or 3 hornets. It's going to hurt less. Hopefully I don't fall asleep before I get back to the truck. But
it's a whole new race.
Yeah, it's a whole new race, exactly. I always carry, so like this is specific to mountains, rain gear every time. It doesn't matter if the forecast is 0.
Right.
Except that one time that I went out turkey hunting and the forecast was 0, and I was like, I'm not going to bring it, and it rained on me. But it was warm. Like, that was the thing in my head also, is like, I'm going to be at low elevation. If it did happen to rain, I'm not going to be hypothermic.
Cool.
So, and I'm 3 miles from the truck. So not a big deal. But yeah, in the backcountry, I'm always carrying rain gear, like pants, raincoat, and usually a puffy jacket. Because
just another layer.
Yeah, like if you fell in a creek, or if you did, like, for whatever reason you were out later than you thought, if you're up near tree line, it's cold.
Even in the archery months.
Yeah.
Like, it gets cold quick.
Yeah.
That's actually like a super invaluable piece of gear that I think a lot of people from maybe other states don't know about. Is those puffy jackets.
And it's like this big.
Yeah. Throw in your pack.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And if it's cold, like, even if it's not raining and you're cold, you can put that on with your rain gear and you will be warm. And if I'm going to be glassing a lot, I have puffy pants also.
Okay. Just kind of slip those on.
Yeah. And they're zip on and off, so I don't have to take my boots off and stuff. I just put those right over everything else.
Nice.
Invaluable pieces of gear right there, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it for somebody who spends a lot of time in the backcountry.
Especially if you're sitting on a ridge line.
Yeah.
Well,
and you hiked up there, you got sweaty.
Yep.
And then you sit. The wind blows on you, and all of a sudden you're cold.
Yeah.
So you got to bring the layers. Trying to think of what else I always have with me. I don't know. I'll think of it when we're finished recording.
Of course.
Be like, hold on, we got to put this in.
Sun shirt or hooded? Do you wear hoods? Like a lightweight hooded.
Yeah, I always wear a sun shirt of some
Yeah.
sort. Even it doesn't matter how hot it is if I'm out in the sun. You're fair skinned. You understand these things. Well, both of you are. You're both. You even have the freckles. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Got to be covered head to toe.
Yeah, that's like one thing I noticed, like especially glassing, is like if you're not wearing a sun shirt, you're gonna, 1, become dehydrated, and 2, you're gonna be burned and uncomfortable pretty quickly. A lot of people don't understand that too, right? You're at elevation.
Yeah.
Sun's more intense. You're just sitting there. You're becoming dehydrated just by sitting there. It's just evaporating off of you because your body's
so dry.
Yeah.
Body's pumping through it.
Yeah.
Take plenty of water.
Yeah, I always, food and water. I carry water treatment tablets because they're light. I mean, if I'm on like an overnight trip or something, I'll take a filter because you can just do it right away. The tablets take a while to work. But Yeah, enough, plenty of water. I'll usually take like some Gatorade or something. I'll even put that in my pack.
Yeah.
Because the electrolytes, the salt in there, helps you retain the water that you take in instead of just peeing it out immediately.
Have you used any of like the hydration packs or anything? There's tons of them out there now. You utilize any of those instead of carrying an extra bottle or Gatorade or to add to your water? Or?
I'll just put the Gatorade in my pack. And, if I'm on like a multi-day trip and I'm not going to be able to refill with Gatorade, I'll usually just deal with water.
Okay.
And maybe take some like electrolyte tablets. But also on multi-day trips, I'll usually have like Mountain House or something for dinner, which has like 5 days worth of sodium in it. So that will work also.
Yes.
Anything to get salt in your body, but you do have to have salt
Yeah.
in order to have water in your body. But I take enough food, even for a day trip, I take enough food that if for some reason I had to spend the night out. That's always what I think, is like you got to think of like not disaster, catastrophe,
Right.
but like worst case scenario. If I broke my leg and I had to wait for rescue,
Yeah.
and I'm laying around on the ground and it gets dark, I need stuff to stay warm. Probably want a snack. You're not going to starve to death before
Right.
search and rescue gets there, but
Comfort.
yeah, exactly. Like at least you got like a little cookie or something while you're waiting there with a broken leg, right? Yeah, just enough food to just keep you comfortable.
Cool.
And water.
A little snack of gummies.
Yeah,
The
the Welch's fruit snacks.
Yeah, that helped out on our ruck. And we weren't even 20 minutes in, and I was feeling it. She's getting out of her little pack, got me to the top.
I had enough food in my pack that if we'd been, stuck up there, we all could have had a snack waiting
Yes.
for like a ride back,
Nice.
Yeah. I think, kind of along those lines, the one thing that I, in the backcountry, don't do is I will not jump from, like, any amount of height. I will not jump both leg. I don't know if it's like something like just mentally. I'm always like, if I jump from here with a pack and I land on there, what's the first thing to go? It's going to be an ankle, a knee, or something of the sort.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, okay, well, I'm not going to go that route. I'm just going to take this route. Because I always think about that. I'm always like, man, if I end up sitting out here, who knows? It'll take a few hours.
Right.
But I'm not exactly the smallest guy to extricate from the backcountry.
Right. Yep, you're riding on a mule.
Yeah, I'm doing something. And probably going to be a lot of pain.
Yeah.
That's all right, though.
So in the time that you spent in the backcountry, you are up, you're glassing, you're behind binoculars, spotting scope, setting up with a tripod or monopod. What's your setup for the backcountry when it comes to like really getting on a ridge and spending some time looking through, your favorite optic?
I'll carry binoculars and a spotting scope.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like binoculars are good for that really quick look, like, hey, is that a rock or a deer? If I'm planning on just, I'm going to sit up on this high point and look for animals, I take the spotting scope, tripod. I've got a lightweight one. It works pretty well. Like, tripods are definitely one of those things that if you have a heavy one, you're going to be a little more comfortable while you're glassing.
Right.
Because it won't move as much in the wind. But man, they are hard to carry in a pack too. I've got one of each. I've got a heavy one and a light one.
Cool.
I think that's just like a standard. If you don't have like 2, 3, maybe 20, I don't know, whatever flavor of the season it is, it's like you use some more glass and you figure it out, or put miles on and you're like, that tripod could lose a few pounds.
Exactly. I might have been able to find one in the middle between my heavy one and my light one that would kind of cover both bases a little better, but I don't know. I was getting ready for the high country deer hunt, and I'm like, I don't want to pack this gigantic tripod in that far. And it worked out okay.
Nice.
Sacrifices are needed sometimes.
Yeah. The things you take to make you comfortable will also make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, 100%.
So, if you were to give anybody starting off, man, woman, child, like where you are now, like what lessons you've learned, like what amount of time do you spend in the backcountry, the miles you put on, where would you suggest they start? How would they get interested finding the right tools to kind of put something together that would maybe put them a little bit farther ahead than where you started, maybe even?
It's just get out in the woods.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it doesn't matter if you own a method of take. Just start going out in the woods, and really like go out in the wintertime. If you live where there's snow, go out in the wintertime and just follow animals. It doesn't have to be a mountain lion.
Preferably.
Look at deer, look at elk, any animal that you might want to hunt. Just go and follow it around. See how it moves around in the woods.
Yeah.
You know, what it's eating, where it sleeps, you know, bedding areas, things like that. You can learn so much about the animals just following them around when you have the opportunity of having snow. And you can start really small. Yeah. You know, as long as you're near, hopefully you have public land around, because that's kind of it's what my, everything I do hinges on that, you know. And you don't have to, you know, don't like listen to me and think, oh, if I don't do that, then I'm not good.
Right.
Like you don't have to do that. You don't have to be like me. People don't get tough by having an easy life, right?
Right.
Like no one, I don't know, I just know like I've seen jokes about David Goggins. That's the only reason I know. He didn't get the way he is because his life was rainbow and sunshines and sunshine. So like, don't be scared to just do like a little bit, you know, just like a tenth of what I do. Yeah. You know, just get out in the woods and learn how to just find creek crossings and just experience it and think, you know, how was I uncomfortable and what could I do to make myself more comfortable, like clothing wise or boot wise or whatever, you know. And it's really just learning through a lot of experience, but start really small. Yeah. Because you don't want to figure out that you shouldn't be wearing cotton socks from Walmart. I'll take shit on Walmart again. You don't want to find out that you shouldn't be wearing cotton socks from Walmart, you know, if you've hiked 5 miles from your truck and now you have blisters over most of your foot. Right. You know, just start really small. Cool. You know, and when you figure out like, okay, this is my limit, it's fine. Just stay within your limit. Nice. You know, you don't always have to. I think there's a big push in the hunting world to just like go to your limit and go past it. Like, you don't have to be like that. Yeah. You know, don't listen to that marketing. You know, they're just trying to sell you another pair of boots or something. You know, just when you find how comfortable you are, like how far you can get from your house or your truck or whatever, and before you're like, I don't like this, go a half mile less than that. Then it's okay. Like no one's gonna no one's gonna make fun of you for that. Right. They shouldn't. And if they do, they're just jerks.
Yeah. Hating from the bottom.
Hating from the bottom.
They didn't even go a half mile.
Right. Exactly. Nice. Cool. I want to thank you for spending the time with us. I've been impressed with you since I met you in the very first, and the knowledge that you've come seeking and brought to the shop too has been amazing. So I can't thank you enough for being here. We are very blessed to have you part of this community and hope to continue the relationship.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, 100%. That is, you have amazed me as like a person who has gone from kind of like hunting, you know, when you were younger, and then just transitioning into full blown just huntress, like, but not like Instagram huntress, right? Like you know, when I say that, I say it in an endearing type term where it's like, I'd put you up against anybody I know, honestly.
I'd easily be willing to go on any backcountry excursion with that one right there for sure. Yeah.
You referenced David Goggins, and I know somebody who is a go-getter, David Goggins kind of guy, and he said that we need to do a t-shirt that's called "Who's Gonna Carry the Hindquarters?"
Awesome. thanks again for watching. We appreciate you, and hopefully we'll be putting out some more content like this in the future. Maybe even get you back on after a successful hunt this year, and
Hopefully.
We'll see you guys on the next one. Again, thanks again.
Thanks, guys. And if you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, comment. Thanks.